Well, after nearly a year and a half of the COVID-19 pandemic, we could all use a breakthrough.
It's certainly true. And new at 5, it looks like researchers at Pitt might have just found one. Channel 11 Jillian Hartman joins us live. Jillian, this really sounds like a really big development here.
Yeah, and we just learned a team of scientists here in Pittsburgh may have cracked the code to preventing COVID-19 and curing those who contract the virus. At the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine, Dr. Ishii and his team invented a nanobodies treatment against COVID-19. The idea is people would inhale the medicine, not inject it.
So basically what this technology could do is you can have a pretty convenient method by directly inhaling the nanobodies. And because it's directly inhaled into the lungs where infection happens, this is much more efficient than, for example, injecting into the blood.
Dr. Shi tells me their treatment may work better than current COVID-19 vaccines. I'm told the nanobodies come from llamas and they are much smaller than antibodies, but just as effective to fight the virus. Dr. Shi says the treatment works really well so far in hamsters.
There was average reductions of 1 millionfold of viral particles in the animal's lung after post-SARS-CoV-2 infection, which is very, very encouraging.
Recently, they teamed up with scientists at Case Western Reserve University in Ohio, using their powerful microscopes to see how the nanobodies work against the virus, and they discovered it works in 3 different ways, neutralizing COVID.
I think it's really important. It's very excited to be able to collaborate with people outside the University of Pittsburgh, to have different scientists have different expertise and views to tackle this really important problem.
I did ask him how effective this treatment would be against the highly contagious Delta variant.
We don't have direct evidence. We're still collecting data, but based on our analysis, it looks like at least 2 types of nanobodies remain highly effective against the Delta variant.
Right now, Dr. Shi and his team are continuing animal testing, but they hope they can enter human clinical trials soon. Reporting live tonight, I'm Jillian Hartman, Channel 11.